Hi guys, and welcome back to another DrAce video, and today we're going to be playing MXGP 2020. We're here in Faenza, Italy, and it's now time for the MXGP race, Race 1. So Race 1 is getting underway as the grids drop and away we go. 3 minutes on the clock until we have the final 2 laps. Of course, this is a very, very difficult track. Certainly not one of my most favourite ones, but usually Italy have some of the best tracks in MXGP. Do miss Maggioria, but for the time being, Hurlings gets into the lead as we have Clement de Sal, Gautier, Paulan there as well, as we're battling out with some of the best riders in MXGP right now as we go into the right-hand side, touching the rear of a fellow Yamaha there, Gautier, Paulan. He's not going to be too pleased with that one, pushing him a little bit wide, so we went wide ourselves and up into the Monster Energy sign. Robin Fevre is there as well with Glenn Coldenhoff. We'll try and chase him down, but we are being beaten up to start off this Italian GP. You've seen Jorge Prado and Tony Cairoli getting ahead of Grant just briefly, just a moment ago, as we go deep onto the brakes there for the right-hander. Small jump is better here. I'd learned that towards the end of the race, but for the beginning part I did try a larger jump that certainly didn't help out whatsoever, to be honest with you. But now going into the somewhat mini tabletop section, we do see Tony Cairoli getting ahead of us. The Italian, the 9-time world champion, is just there on the right hand side on board the KTM, of course, as we'll try and chase him down, try and use his speed as he got very close to the wall of dirt there, the big mud mound that was on his left hand side, rubbing shoulders with the mud mound as we go on to the right hand side. Tony Cairoli will be following him now to the end of this lap, I'm sure, unless we can chase him down and start taking away some valuable positions for some extra championship points, because of course, be reminded, we are still the world championship leader as of yet. The red plate is ours for now. Is it still going to be ours at the end of this Italian Grand Prix weekend? So 7th position so far for Matt Grant. Not ideal, but of course we can still take advantage as we get into it, as Glenn Coldenhoff has gone down. The man on board the gas wearing red there with the blue helmet has gone down into that little bit of a corner there after the jump. And I think the same can be said for Jorge Prado, who went down just a moment ago as well. But on the left-hand side, we'll go a nice little jump here, and once again, little small jump to trying to get ourselves into the downhill section of those particular jumps as we now make our way uphill with lots and lots of undulation here in Italy, one of the best tracks for undulation, let's say. You certainly go up into the clouds on the high parts of the track, and then you certainly go downhill into the basement as you're going downhill. I must say, it's an interesting track, but it's not one of my favourites. I don't tend to do very well here, but I'm actually not doing a bad showing right now as we're trying to pursue Tony Cairoli just ahead of us. No sign of Tim Geiser and some of the other championship protagonists. Of course, Clement de Sal is a little bit further up the road. He is one of the championship protagonists of this MXGP 2020 season. As we now go into the bumpy part of the track, try and chase down the man on board the Red Bull KTM, the Italian in his own track, of course, Tony Cairoli. Glenn Coldenhoff, even though he crashed early on, he managed to recover back into 5th position. It's not where he wants to be. He wants to be a little bit further up the road as we get super close to the wall mound again, just like Cairoli did on the previous lap. It looks like Fevre and Clement de Sal, the teammates, are battling it out just ahead of us on track. We can't quite see it, but I've seen the graphic on the left-hand side just appear moments ago. Of course, the race time has expired, so now there will be just 2 more laps for us to do something special. Cairoli has blitzed past Glenn Coldenhoff, and certainly Cairoli time is in effect already. Glenn Coldenhoff is holding on to that position right now as Jeffrey Hurlings gets us across the timing line to indicate the final 2 laps. Coldenhoff is now in our way, so we're going to try and get past the man, the Dutchman, of course the man on board the gas as Jeremy Seewer has gone down behind us. Another Yamaha just in the top 8 there has gone down. Not many Yamahas up there, but Gautier Paulan, Matt Grant, of course, is just flying the flag for the Yamahas right now, as Coldenhoff is still ahead of us, but we're going to go for I tried to go around the outside of that particular berm there, that little bit of a jump. If we were done so, we probably would have been closer to the Dutchman ahead of us, as Glenn Coldenhoff beautifully entry into that corner. We'll try and copy him for these next couple of corners. You can see the dirt getting kicked up into our face now as we get closer and closer to Glenn Coldenhoff. We'll continue to push to try and chase him down, but for now it looks like we might have had the job done. Grant has taken over 6th position just temporarily as Glenn Coldenhoff fights back once again. A lovely tight apex there into the wall of dirt. We do get ahead of Glenn Coldenhoff, but Coldenhoff fights back. What a move from the Dutchman. He certainly made himself known as his presence was flown right up the inside as Clement de Sal and Fevre continue to battle it out for that final position on the rostrum. But now we do manage to get away from Glenn Coldenough. Ran it a little bit too deep going into that corner. Too much jump going into that particular section. Certainly cost us a bit of time, but we're still okay in the sense of holding Glenn Coldenough at bay. As Tony Cairoli just ahead of us on track, 2.0 seconds ahead of us, just a little bit further on. And just to mention as well, this is our first dry session in quite a while. There's been so much rainy sessions in MXGP 2020's Championship mode, I'm not sure why. The weather is set to random, of course, but I do like the variation in weather. Of course, we get the wet tracks, and then we have the dry tracks, and then some with the variable weather. As Jeffrey Hurling's just got across the timing line to initiate the final lap, he then went down immediately afterwards, so I'm not sure what's happened up at the front. Has there been a swing, as Jorge Prado has gone down in 8th position? He will not be finishing in the top 10 if he's been able to crash there into that same section. Seems a lot of riders are having difficulties with that particular part of the track, the immediate entry going into turn 1 after the jump across the finish line. Seems to be a lot of trouble for a lot of riders. Of course, oh goodness me, we've ended up hitting the dirt as well. A random crash for us, as we seem to be doing everything absolutely fine. I was just about to mention, we were holding on to 6th position and we were 3.8 seconds behind Tony Cairoli, and it looks like Gautier Paulin has just taken the lead ahead of Jeffrey Hurling, so that swing has already occurred now just because Jeffrey Hurling's made that mistake, as we all make another mistake as well, spinning the rear up a little bit too much. We almost sent ourselves into a 360, very, very close to making that big mistake there. And shout out to the Xbox 360, because that was the first place I ever played an MXGP video game back in 2013, I do believe it was. But back to the action unfolding right now. Glenn Coldenough is a couple of seconds, maybe 1 second ahead of us as we try and pursue him. As we're getting closer and closer, we might have a chance to actually pinch this away from him. Pinch 6th position, back again as we get left hand side. Good stuff there, good entry coming in there for Grant. As Coldenough went a little bit wide there and a little bit sideways, we may have a chance to pursue him and close him down. 0.7 of a second is the gap to the Dutchman. As we get a little bit out of shape and we cut the corner, we will not be taking 6th position. We will be stuck with 7th, if not worse, if anyone from behind manages to chase us down. But for the time being, a little bit disappointing there, because I really did want to pinch an additional couple of points ahead of Glenn Coldenough. But Gautier Paulin is your winner, which then immediately crashed. Same as Jeffrey Hurling. So Paulin wins with Hurling's in 2nd, and Clement Desal claims 3rd position as Grant comes across the line in 7th place. So a quick recap, Paulin wins with Hurling's in 2nd and Clement Desal finishes in 3rd position. But what a great recovery from Tony Cairoli, who was as low as 9th position, managed to finish in 4th place. So it's now time for race 2, looking to the grids, and away we go. And can you believe it, it is raining once again, but you know what, I quite like the rain. We do pretty well here as we manage to take the Fox's whole shot. Brilliantly done there for the man on board the Yamaha, the man with the red plate right now. 3 minutes of this one will remain as well until the final 2 laps as we get across the city jump there. Lovely done, nice and into the decline of that particular jump, going around the outside of the sort of bumpy part of the track there, and we'll get it onto the left hand side, chucking that boot into the berm and then kicking ourselves out a little bit out of shape there, going onto the grass. That isn't an ideal line as we completely mess up that line, as Jeffrey Hurlings has now retaken the lead. He was so good into the race 1, but I think he made a mistake towards the end and unfortunately crashed and then got Gautier Paulin to beat him. It was not ideal, let's be honest, for the Dutchman as we try and battle it out now with Paulin and Jeffrey Hurlings. We'll get up onto the left hand side now. Beautifully done as we try and take 2 for 1 going into that left hander. We now beaten Jeffrey Hurlings and we are into the lead once again. Reclaiming that lead was imperative for a good result, but Jeffrey Hurlings is still there. We know the Dutchman is absolutely made out of steel. We've seen it in MXGP recently, of course, when Ivo Monticelli bumped his shoulder blade out of socket when he landed on him. So I really don't want to go head to toe with this fella here, shoulder to shoulder, let's say, with Jeffrey Hurlings, because you know he will not hold back. He is a very, very tough competitor, but we managed to pull away somewhat, so something's happened behind, or unless we were just that damn good going into those particular sections and the downhill part of Faenza. I'm not sure if that's the case, but you know what? Let's say it is. Why not? Let's just say we're just so much more competitive than the rest of the field right now. Into the left-hander we go for that lovely tight apex. Sort of messed it up on the exits a little bit. I wanted to accelerate a bit too much more than the game would allow me to do, and I think a little bit of a mistake was made, but trying to avoid that fall there, it seemed to so many riders made in race 1. Looks like everyone's got through race... Yeah, it looks like everyone's got through the first corner in race 2 absolutely fine. Same could not be said for race 1, of course. I don't want to jinx anyone, so I did sort of held off saying it for a little while, but I did say it, and it looked like everyone seemed to be absolutely fine. So underneath the city sign, we will go once again, a nice big jump, and trying to push the bike downwards to get ourselves into the decline of that jump. Clement de Sal is now into second position, so he isn't too far behind, so we just have to continue to defend if required. A little bit of a mistake on the outside of the track once again. Nice and tight apex to the right hand side there, and the same can be said for the next corner as well for that left-hander. Lovely yellow boot on the floor there. It's not going to be yellow towards the end of this Grand Prix, let me assure you on that one, as we go on the right hand side. Let's go for a smaller, gentle jump here. We don't want to go anything too large, because then we will be pursued by Jeffrey Hurlings and the rest of the riders behind. Clement de Sal, of course, behind Jeffrey Hurlings, is one of our championship protagonists. He is in second place in the championship, trailing by 22 points, so if we can still stay ahead of him, we can hold on to that red plate just a little bit more. Of course, Clement de Sal had a better result than us in the first race, so overall in the Grand Prix standings, Clement de Sal could potentially have a better finish than us, but of course we aren't going to take a Grand Prix victory, or at least the race 2 victory, if we can help it. And we're going to certainly try my best, because race 2 looks to be in our bags right now. It doesn't seem to be Jeffrey Hurlings or Clement de Sal is going to be able to really make much of an impression on us right now, because we look quite comfortable, to be quite honest with you. We're quite happy being up at the front. We're putting in some very, very nice lap times now, I think. I'm feeling confident with this bike under these conditions. I don't know why, but I seem to feel more confident when the rain comes down rather than when the rain isn't here, which is really bizarre as we now go into turn 1. A little bit of a jump as we make the same mistake everyone else made into race 1. Jeffrey Hurlings made the mistake into race 1, and now I've just made this exact same mistake. Jorge Prado was caught out there, Jeremy Seaver was caught out there, and even the great Jeffrey Hurlings has mentioned to, and now we're getting absolutely beaten up. I spoke too soon, didn't I? I just had to mention how comfortable and how confident we were here in Faenza, and it's gone completely wrong now. Hurlings is in the lead, de Sal in second, and Gautier Paulin in third position. So we went from first to fourth place in just 2 corners. Absolute disaster there for the man with the red plate. I was bigging myself up, and now I've made a bloody big mistake. Now it's time to fight back, dig in, and start clawing back at the riders in front of us. Of course, mentioning the championship standings earlier on, the one man we haven't seen, I can't believe we haven't seen him here, is Tim Geiser. Not sure what's happened to the long and tall Slovenian. He doesn't seem to be anywhere present in the sense of these battles up at the front. I didn't even see him earlier, as we now finally get ourselves back into third position. Not quite. Clement de Sal is still there. The man in second and the man in first place in the championship are battling it out now into the left-hand side. We go for Faenza, Italy. This is a wonderful, wonderful Grand Prix. This is filling out to be, as we dive up in the inside of Gautier Paulin, and we've dived up in the inside of Jeffrey Hurlings as well. What a magnificent move coming in from the man from Britain. Absolutely stupendous move there from Grant, pushing Jeffrey Hurlings wide, diving up in the inside of Gautier Paulin, and just dethroning Clement de Sal from third position as well in just about as many corners. 3 corners turned from disaster to greatness. Absolutely brilliant. Oh, I spoke too soon again. Obstacle avoided. What on earth is that rubbish? It didn't look like I was avoiding anything. I was trying to make the jump, and now Paulin has retained the lead, and Jeffrey Hurlings is now up into second place. Clement de Sal will obviously be in fourth place, just a position behind your world championship leader right now. Paulin sets us off for the final lap. Jeffrey Hurlings is in second position. Grant is in third. Who is it going to be? Who is it who's going to take race 2 victory? And who is going to be the overall winner of this MXGP weekend? As we go on to the left-hand side, Paulin, you better believe, is in the best position in the house right now. Jeffrey Hurlings has got the bit between his teeth. And you know what? Who else has got the bit? Matt Grant. He's there in third position as he tries to pursue the KTM and the Yamaha up ahead of us. As we go into the right hand side, the dirt and the dust and the mud is getting kicked up right into the goggles of Grant as he dives with the inside of Jeffrey Hurlings. Is now up into second position, to temporarily up into first position there as we go onto the right hand side. I see Hurlings' front wheel off board that KTM as we dive from the left hand side. Beautifully done as we are now into the first position. Have we held off Gautier Paulin, or will Paulin try a lunge? Lovely tight apex there to shut the door. Paulin has been deterred from first position. Grant is in the lead, and he has now got clear track ahead of him. Let's just absolutely go for it now. Give them a response that they won't be expecting, and that is to dash to the head and just not even give them a chance to get anywhere near, anywhere closer for the rest of this MXGP Race 2 of Faenza. And left hand side we will go up into the little bit of a jump, trying to avoid that middle part. There's sort of a weird bump in the middle that really throws me off as we are now into our best sector. Something's happened behind. Some of the riders had a bit of a collision. I didn't see exactly what it was, and the timing screen, the bottom left hand corner of the screen there, popped up so damn quickly I couldn't even see who it was, but something has happened behind. There is a massive gap there, and we have now comfortably got this one in the bag, in that metaphorical bag. It's got all sorts of gifts and goodies, but for now it has 25 points of a World Championship bid. One more corner to go and Grant gets the job well and truly done. Grant takes Race 2 victory of Faenza. So a quick recap, out of nowhere, we mentioned him earlier, Tim Geiser plants himself in second place right behind the World Championship leader of Matt Grant. Clement Desal holds on for third place, and Gautier Paulhan and Hurlings missed out tremendously in fourth and fifth. A look at the Grand Prix results itself. Gautier Paulhan wins the overall by 3 points ahead of Clement Desal and a further point ahead of Matt Grant, who finishes with 39 points. So there it is, confirmation. Grant finishes third place. Take a look at the Yamaha. And of course, we will be looking at the actual World Championship standings in just a moment to see where we stack up. We now have a 21-point championship lead ahead of Clement Desal, 33 points ahead of Tim Geiser, and a further 6 to Gautier Paulhan in fourth position. So guys, as always, hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment and subscribe if you did, and hit the notification bell to be alerted to every single DrAce upload. Thanks for watching guys, and ciao for now.
Oh hi, didn't quite see you there. Good to see you're still here. If this video didn't quite set your appetite, then why not watch some more DrAce content by clicking the video shown on screen now. Furthermore, if you would like to follow me on social media, you can do so now with the links down in the description. Consider subscribing so you don't miss a single DrAce video.